CM Punk is back. Let me know your thoughts. What's your thoughts about CM Punk being back in AEW now?
Well, AEW has a certified, superstar that people want to see, other than Chris Jericho and Cody Rhodes and them and stuff like that. So they're getting their rosters getting more built, and adding a guy like that's a great idea. And then on top of that, I want to know what capacity they're hiring for, because if he's an idea guy, I think this would be perfect. But if he's out there wrestling, I'm very curious of how he's going to perform, because for all we know, he might not have missed a step, or if not, he might come back looking kind of sloppy. But I doubt that he'll let that happen. And I'm happy for him. Do I want to go see him wrestle? Personally, not really, but I want to see him talk. Hopefully they put him on commentary, because I remember every time they let him do commentary in Smack on Raw, it was fire. Mm-hmm. So who knows, man? But then again, their commentary team's pretty stacked as it is, with Jim Ross, Excalibur,
the GOAT,
and Mark Henry, if I'm not mistaken.
The GOAT, Jim Ross. Now, I gotta say this just to give you a quick little what's to come. I already know there's a lot of CM Punk fans, and they're not gonna like what you just said about that commentary, because they believe in CM Punk not only on the mic, but they believe he's the best in the world, like he says he is the best in the world, like he said he is back in the day. And they believe that inside the ring as well. So they're gonna be like, commentary? Nah, we want to see CM Punk wrestle. The funny thing is, though, I did watch AEW yesterday, and that's probably like my first time really watching the episode. And that's what CM Punk does. Him returning made me actually turn on AEW and be like, let me see what they're doing right now. So I know that CM Punk is supposed to wrestle at their upcoming pay-per-view, and he's wrestling Darby Allin. Now, I don't know too much about Darby Allin, but I know that he's one of their, AEW stars. So that's supposed to be a big match that's about to come up, and that's going to be CM Punk's first match returning.
The way I feel about Darby Allin is like, man, it's like, how his wrestling style is kind of like the ragdoll style. He'll just do stuff that'd be like, man, you're gonna hurt yourself doing this kind of stuff, but that's just how he is. I'm feeling like every time I watch him, he's like the guy that, like, he doesn't end up on Botchamania because it's all intentional, and on top of that, he has defense and endurance through the roof if we're giving him stats. And honestly, he has a unique wrestling style, man. I think you might like it when you see him come out there and do what he has to do.
I seen him wrestle on this past AEW show, and I seen his finisher. Like, he kind of just jumps in the air and just falls on him. That's his finisher. He doesn't do any flips. He jumps in the air and then he just lands on him like that.
Like I said, ragdolls on him.
Yeah.
Like I say, to me, I'd be like, that. It's like, I get your style. I'm like, is this what people like? Man, I guess AEW is a little too weird for me. But then again, I'll keep it rolling though, because AEW does got some cool superstars like Luchasaurus.
The thing
you seen him?
No, I haven't seen Luchasaurus. I have not.
Yeah, dude's cool.
He's cool. I gotta check him out.
Yeah. The
thing is, though, about Darby Allin, he kind of reminds me of like back in the day, he probably would have wrestled with ECW. Like the original ECW. He kind of comes across like that to me. And then another thing that stood out to me from watching AEW, Darby Allin is teaming up with Sting right now. And I'm like, AEW is doing some stuff right now. They got Sting out there. CM Punk cut a promo and he was teasing that Daniel Bryan could be on the way, because the fans were chanting yes, yes, yes. They was doing that Daniel Bryan chant while CM Punk was cutting a promo. And then CM Punk looked like he kind of gave us some insight. He's like, that's not really my thing, but he's like, the guy that made that up, just be a little bit more patient. He could be on his way, basically. So he kind of gave us like some insight. Daniel Bryan could be going to the AEW now. So I don't know. The way I'm kind of seeing it right now, it's like WWE has to start doing something. Of course, WWE is still, they're still at the top. They come on now, the business, they have built the business for so long. But I'm like, give it a few more years. If the WWE keeps going downhill with their writing, and the most important thing about the writing is they're losing superstars because of their writing. And if they keep going to AEW and AEW is also establishing their own superstars, I don't know. This may switch the landscape up. What's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, man, yeah. And I've been hearing a lot of stories about the writing team getting their feelings hurt and they personally not giving guys the best they can do. Especially listening to Stone Cold's podcast and listening to Edge and Christian talk about it a little bit. It seems like those writers aren't consistent, but at the end of the day, Vince is the one that's greenlighting everything. But it's just like, I wonder how much does Vince care about X and Y things, but we've seen SmackDown and Raw through the years. We know what they'll greenlight, so it can be anything and anything. So.
And then another thing, I'm like, this is another thing I just gotta say that stood out to me, like, and that I appreciate about AEW. I seen Arn Anderson. Like, I'm seeing that they're taking care of the legends. Arn Anderson took a kick by Aleister Black. Now, I don't know I forgot what they call Aleister Black on AEW, but basically it's Aleister Black. That's his WWE name, at least. And he pretty much served up a couple kicks to Arn Anderson. And I'm like, Arn Anderson is a Hall of Famer. That's a legend, but they're still allowing him to get in the ring. And I'm like, I like what they're doing. It seems like, because WWE, as time went on, it seemed like they kind of went away from their legends. Besides Goldberg, besides like The Rock, Triple H, besides like a few that was, stars back in their day, a few of like the other legends, they kind of like moved past. Like, I always thought to myself, like, why did they let JR go, or why didn't they ever bring JR back full time? Because JR would come back like periodically, like to do one WrestleMania match or something like that. And I was like, and then come to find out, like, JR actually seemed like, listening to his interviews and listening to his book, he sounded like he would have been open to still commentate for the WWE full time for the most part. I'm like, I don't know. It just seems like WWE at times, they kind of go away from their like legends, and AEW look like they're more so embracing it, but they're not like making them like championship contenders, but they're like keeping them around the young guys and everything. So I don't know. I just like what AEW's kind of doing right now. I ain't gonna lie. I like what they're doing. They starting to kind of, they putting something together. They putting up something at least.
Man, we'll see. Like I said, I'm trying to diversify everything and just watch all wrestling. Right now, I'm trying to wrap up Lucha Underground so I can talk a little bit more about AEW in the future, because some of those guys did get over there, so I just want to get all the players in set so I can talk about them in more in depth later on.
Yeah, for sure. And then one more quick question about CM Punk. What did you think of that pop of his return? Some people are saying it's the greatest like pop they heard from the fans from someone returning. What's your thoughts on that one?
Pretty good. Kind of reminds me of a Goldberg pop. It reminds me of a little bit of how when Stone Cold returned that randomly on that one night of Raw. Oh man. So yeah, man. No. It's pretty big. But then again, it was Chicago. They love him. And it's like that, he was going to get that pop regardless. So it's like that same pop you would have got if, you remember how ECW came back for that one night and it was in the Hammerstein Ballroom and people lost their minds just for that to happen?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, man. So it was pretty good, and I'm glad people are very like open to see him again.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking forward to what they do with him or what might become of him, because like I said, he seems like he has a really great head on his shoulders. He's a really good idea guy. So I'm hopefully that he can give them better things to do.
And then he just seems happy too. He seems like that break from wrestling, it allowed him to appreciate it again, to love the business again. Like, he seems like he's pretty happy, like he's back, and he's, I'm pretty sure, like, to me, I'm pretty sure he's going to be in better shape than when he actually was wrestling full time with the WWE, because the man went into the MMA. When you do MMA training, like, it gets you into a different type of physical shape. So I'm pretty sure he's going to be, he's going to be ready. He's going to put on the show, and then, the first thing we're going to see is him versus Darby Allin. So we'll be able to judge from there. But I just think they're going to be able to do a lot of things with CM Punk. Like, of course, CM Punk versus Kenny Omega. You know, people, it's just a lot of different stars in there. Like people probably want to see CM Punk versus Sting. Like it's so much that they can do with them. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen. And